This is Sparta!
Okay, initial reaction here. Duration of Fortify reduced from 4.5 to 3.5. I'm so excited. I love fetch notes. 4.5 to 3.5. Yeah, that's fine. Orisa now moves 20% slower while fortified. Oh, wait. Damage roll passive healing reduction in... Wait, they buffed the roll passive? They buffed the roll passive, guys. Bro, I was actually kind of concerned. Because I was like, they're going to nerf Orisa. And then Malga's... No, bro, they just buffed it. They just buffed it. Hey, Malga players. Hey, Roadhog players. I can't even do it. Get the frick out of my Twitch stream. Okay. I mean, I actually think this is relatively fair. I am not a proponent of nerfing the roll passive for tanks until they're in a position to where they can also simultaneously nerf Roadhog and Malga. Because the thing is like, you're right, like that, screw tanks, haha. But the problem is that the tanks that get hurt by this the most are the absolute cancer tanks, right? The absolute cancer. Yeah, Junker Queen definitely struggles with that one. But it's the Malgas and the Roadhogs and so on that are the big nasty ones. The tank, ironically, even Reinhardt is less concerned about the roll passive. So I'm okay with this. I would rather this than for them to nerf it further for tanks right now. I hope that's on the table, though. I hope that's on the table. You guys have to understand. If you've listened to any of Samito's videos, okay? You cannot just give tanks free survive. Like, you can't just make tanks like these unkillable, like, monoliths just by flat global things. Like, I actually think that, like, you actually can't even buff the tank passive too much just yet until we actually deal with some of these things, because some of the tanks are already unkillable as it is. You have to be really careful. You can't just go, oh, the DPS passive doesn't, like, apply to tanks, or even if it's weaker, right? Like, I think that that's ultimately the goal, but sometimes that's the only way to kill some of these tanks. How's Hog cancer, but Orisa isn't? I mean, they're both cancer. Okay, you guys ready for a spicy take? Are you guys ready for a spicy take? I bet you guys aren't ready. I like Orisa better than Malga or Roadhog. I like playing versus Orisa better than Malga and Roadhog. I like playing with Orisa better than Malga and Roadhog. And I find, I know that Roadhog is very mechanically skillful when played at the highest ceiling, but man, I don't like Orisa. Orisa, but there is still, I think, a tier gap between the worst tanks to play and Orisa. I'm not going to lie with you guys. That's like you prefer the smell of compost to literal... Yeah, but that's true. But I'm not an Orisa fan either. I let's just be very clear. Azusil, thank you for the sub. Yeah. I think those are like the holy trifecta of tanks that we don't enjoy. But yeah, it is what it is. I think I'm hoping that this is like, this is what we could kind of expect from mid-season patch notes. We're never going to get like this like earth-shattering rework or these crazy things. This sounds like just more like a tweak, which is like whatever, to kind of keep those tanks out of the way. But it is what it is. Yeah. Now, I hope that they're able to reduce this to like 15% for tanks again in the future, or 10%, once they address things like Malga and Roadhog, and to a lesser extent Orisa, but it is what it is. More gifted subs. Thank you so much, Big Goose. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, anyway, long story short, I'm actually not as against this as much as I thought I would. I'm kind of like, okay, it mixes things up, and okay, we'll see what it is. The Big Goose, I don't think it's the Big Goose, sadly, but it's the other Big Goose. Okay, now let's talk about these changes here. I am very torn. I don't like this. I don't like, okay. You guys want my take on cooldowns? I don't think you need buffs that also have downsides. I think you need cooldowns that do two things, and you have to choose which one you want them to do. Jason, thank you for the sub. Let me give you guys an analogy. Let's say Fortify increased your damage. Okay. Let's say Fortify reduced your guns over here, right? Like it actually does now, but it actually functioned more. And it meant that Orisa had no fall off. And it meant that Orisa had like a 5% movement speed buff or 10% movement speed buff. And it also had the defensive capabilities. You would have to choose between using your Fortify to actually like proactively make a play or use your Fortify to survive. But that is a terrible analogy in terms of like the way it could be worked out. But you understand what I'm saying. It's like on an aid. You have to choose if you use it offensively. You have to choose if you use it defensively. And you can't necessarily always do both. I know I'll qualify. I know she already has no fall off, but just bear with me. My point being right now, I actually don't like hero. I don't think in 5v5 you can make tanks that, and I don't think you want cooldowns that limit playmaking ability. I just don't think that you want cooldowns that do one thing and do it really well. I think you want cooldowns that you have to choose what you want to do with them. Like, think about like a Doomfist Slam. Do you go in with Slam or do you go out with Slam? Right, do you use Jungle Queen Shout to live or do you use Jungle Queen Shout to actually make a play? Dash to go in or out. Deflect is another great one. You have to choose how you use deflect. This is going to make Fortify legit only defensive. It's already limited in how it's used right now. It's mostly used defensively as it is, but you literally only can use it defensively. Because if you lose your movement speed, we gave Orisa counterplay. Bro, she's freaking slow already. She doesn't, now she can't even do anything while she's fortified. And this is the thing, is like Javelin Spin, to me, I actually think Javelin Spin is an actually pretty good ability for a tank, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because Javelin Spin, you can use it strictly defensively, you can use it offensively, the increased movement speed afterwards. I actually think Javelin Spin is actually a great ability and a bad character, personally, is my take. Obviously, if it gave verticality, then you've got my, the full Spilo cook thing. But I think the problem with Fortify is that it's way too much on the defensive side of things, and the offensive value it provides is so null that you don't even ever want to use it for offensive purposes. And now you're thinking, now we're going to have even less playmaking potential. My solution with Orisa, y'all, or not my solution, but one of the things I've always wanted, first off, I think that you should be able to headshot an Orisa during Fortify. Even if you need to buff her damage reduction, I don't care. Buff it during Fortify. By the way, that makes Orisa a lot better versus beam characters, so side note. And I also think that Fortify should provide some sort of offensive buff. So that you actually have to choose if I want to use my Orisa Fortify early to put out some offensive pressure to get a pick, but I'm a lot more vulnerable. So I don't know. That's my general approach to things. I think that like Spilo, I don't know if he necessarily agrees with that specific regard, but he definitely agrees in terms of like giving you to have to make a choice about whether you're going to use it this way or going to use it that way. I think Venture is a great example of that, like whether they're balanced or not. That's definitely like there's a lot of dynamics in that, and I like that. So for me, this is let's be very clear, guys. This is a monstrous nerf. Like, this is a huge nerf. All of these things are she's going to be garbage, would be my prediction. They literally took the baseball bat to the kneecaps on Orisa. This is a ridiculous cooldown nerf in terms of percentage. This is also, like I said, a significant nerf, which I'm not 100% agreeing on the theory. And this is nuts, too. Like, let's be very clear. This is insane. 9 seconds is a big freaking deal. What is that, a 30% increase? So they just freaking chopped the legs out from Orisa entirely. Now, again, I agree with you guys. I'm not an Orisa fan. I would prefer that the character is not meta. But, yeah. See, my thing, though, is like, there must be some sort of pick rate or win rate metric behind this that we're not aware of, because they've never been this mean to Malga. That to my knowledge, maybe I'm misremembering. Have they ever been this mean to Roadhog since like season 5? Roadhog was pretty bad for a while, but like, have they ever been this mean to Roadhog in recent memory? Yeah, there must be something going on behind the scenes. So, yeah. So I think this is good overall. I'm glad that Orisa got the baseball bat. I just wish that they hadn't done this one. I wish they hadn't done this one. I would have even preferred an even shorter fortified, 3 seconds instead. But just let her keep the movement speed, because then there's actually some choice. Just moving slower means that you just actually can't ever make a play with Orisa at all. And honestly, even the javelin spin, man, like that's like your best, most healthy cooldown, and now that's on 9 seconds. I don't know. I think I'm indifferent to Orisa until they actually quote unquote fix the character. She can remain on the side. But let's be very clear, this character is not anywhere close to being fixed, and these changes do nothing to make her a more healthy character at all. Do nothing. OWCS mix-up? Yeah, there's a very high chance that that's the case, Javelin Monkey. There's a very high chance. I don't think that they really factor in pro meta that much, but I do think that's probably a small detail. I think part of the reason why Malga got nerfed so quickly was because he was basically at 100% pick rate and OWCS. So I do think that brings a little bit more visibility to things. I don't think they cared that much, but I think it's a small portion. So anyway, good change for the short term. Does nothing to address the long-term issues with the Orisa at all, and maybe even makes them worse. Okay, Venture. Maximum explosion damage decreased. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean when they pop out? Wait, what am I? But it was more than 40. Oh, slightly less primary fire damage. Is it 75 now? Is it 75? Okay, 75 instead of 80. Okay. Wow, they just straight up nerfed Venture. Initial impact decreased from 40 to 30. Tectonic Shock ultimate charge increase. This one is fair. I think Tectonic Shock nerf.
Clown patch honk honk. Who let the angry hard stuck black
again, there
players
has to be
make
some
a
sort of
patch?
metric here that we're going by that we don't know. But the burst damage is a little bit weaker, but this isn't okay, I'm not gonna lie with you guys. I was not expecting this. To just nerf their burst, which is probably, if you guys watch, okay, subtle self-plug here, all right? Subtle self-plug. Actually, it's not a subtle self-plug. Literally throw every single dime that you have into my walls. Every single dime.
In this
okay? We made a video, okay? The complete Overwatch, I got my Venture to Masters, yada. Basically, the TLDR was this. I'm fine with nerfing their burst damage. They don't need the same level of burst to be a functional short-range mobile hero. But to do this without actually addressing any of the many quality of life issues, I think is pretty surprising. I didn't feel like Venture was that oppressive. How many games are you guys seeing Venture in nowadays? Is Venture terrorizing low elo? Maybe. Maybe. I know it's kind of hard to say from a weird sample size, but I did not see Venture that much. I almost never played into a Venture mirror, despite them being the brand new character.
Basically never.
More gifted subs. Thanks, Big Goose. I appreciate it. Every game in plat, lots in silver and plat. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it right there. Maybe it's a low mid-rank thing, which I'm going to be honest with you guys, it definitely matters. We would like to balance for higher ranks, but you do have to factor some things into lower rank as well. I never see them in high rank almost ever in my Masters games. It was like less than 10% besides them being, and I never see them in any of the streams that I watch. Yeah. So, I mean, these are not unfair changes. Let me be very clear. They're just questionable changes in a vacuum, if that makes sense. Whereas in like this deals with the bad part about Venture. The good part about Venture being too good, the burst, this is something that I released in the videos, like the burst damage, like you don't necessarily need it to be, but I do think that there's too many other quality of life changes that need to be adjusted first. There's a lot of bugs. I'll link my video in chat really quick here, which talks a lot about the quality of life stuff. Has a lot to do with burrow stuff, a lot to do with ultimate. There's a lot of bugs and stuff that really screw you over. Where is it? Okay, I'll drop it in chat. I sent this one to the developers, and I imagine these aren't necessarily going to be like immediate fixes, but you guys can check that out. Yeah, I don't know. It definitely deals with aspects of the character that were too strong, but it doesn't really give anything in return. So I'm going to assume that there was some sort of, again, win rate metric behind closed doors that meant that Venture was doing better than we think they were doing. Can't two-shot Tracer anymore. You couldn't two-shot Tracer anyway, unless you're talking about, like, shoot drill. That must have been shoot drill. Yeah. Names will no longer be revealed and block some of this nice cool quality of life thing. This is a nice quality of life one. They fixed the javelin Orisa Doomfist punch thing where you go flying backwards. Okay, good info, Flex. What DPS are the biggest winners from the DPS passive buff? Yeah, anything that is more about like sustained pressure. Tracer, Soldier, Ash for sure. Dynamite is useful. Tracer for sure. I think Sombra will benefit a little bit from it as well. I think Genji will benefit a little bit from it as well. Reaper will benefit a little bit from it as well. Anything that's not like a one-shot go. Torbjorn a little bit too. Yeah. Minor stuff though. Minor stuff. I don't think the DPS buff is gonna like, or the DPS buff is gonna be like the difference between a character being meta or not. Really, it's gonna be smaller stuff. Is this a healthy change? Are you talking about the role passive? I think relatively neutral change. I think this is more targeted towards avoiding a Malga Roadhog meta, but in that case, I would prefer a direct Malga Roadhog nerf, but I don't think it's too bad. You think the passive buff will prevent that? No, but it will discourage that. 5% is not going to be palpable. It's just going to be that little tweak that reduces it slightly. It also, okay, so here's the other thing too. Visibility matters, okay? So this stuff, okay, you know what? It matters so much that I'm going to tell you guys, Roadhog and Malga are dead. Do not pick Roadhog and Malga in your ranked games. Do not pick Roadhog and Malga in your quick play games. Flame every single teammate that picks Roadhog Malga. Even at the expense of getting your accounts banned. I don't care. Anyway, long story short, visibility matters. So this is really not that big of a deal, but people are going to think it's a big deal. And that's going to be enough to change their opinions. That's going to be enough to shift their bias towards thinking that Roadhog and Malga are bad, even if they're not that bad. So the answer is yes, they're terrible. Do not play Roadhog Malga ever. They're terrible. 5% nerf. Oh, dead. Hero's dead. It's over. Yes, I'm using my platform appropriately. Listen, we got to be the Avengers of the Overwatch community, guys. I need your help, please. At the expense of your accounts. I don't care if you get suspended. I don't care if you have to say, the frick word and match chat to let everybody know. But you gotta tell them that Malga and Roadhog are dead. Would Queen also follow with Malga and Hog? Partially, but somebody in chat made a good point that Queen is already a little bit more disciplined when it comes to like cover usage and like selective engagements. Plus, it doesn't affect her overhealth. It definitely will affect Queen, yeah, for sure. There's a cat here. Yes. So I would give this patch like a B-. Most patches are going to fall somewhere in like the C+ to B+ category, just somewhere in between. I think the environment it will potentially create with these two changes may be a healthier Overwatch, but it doesn't really affix any issues. And same thing with this here. It might make Venture less dominating in low ranks if that's the case. We're totally guessing here. But it doesn't really address some of the characters, the issues that character has. So it's like it's what we'd expect from a mid-season patch. And I'm not even necessarily saying that to criticize the developers. The only thing that I would a little bit criticize is I really don't like this change at all. I would much rather prefer even a more duration nerf. But yeah, it's just kind of like a band-aid until they do something a little bit more dramatic, and that's normal. That's normal. I was not expecting the DPS passive buff. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, Spilo cultist. That's right. Yes. How about a thumbnail, guys? You guys know me and my crappy thumbnails, right? Me with like, oh, what would be a good one with Malga and Roadhog? It'd be like me escorting Malga and Roadhog behind the barn, holding a shotgun. You get what I'm saying? We're gonna be having some Hawaiian pork for dinner. You get what I'm saying? We're gonna be having a nice Hawaiian barbecue. Okay, it's a luau. All right, get ready.